Assalamu alaikum. This is Robert from Islam for Europeans, and this is a react video to the horrible terrorist attack that happened 2 weeks ago in the Forest City, to which I am a citizen. I have been living in London for the past 2 years now. May Allah grant paradise to those who were killed, Muslim, four members of a Muslim family, three generations, and one child in critical condition. I took a couple of weeks to collect my thoughts in regards to this until I can make the best possible video. So hopefully, inshallah, I can help, put forth our ideas on, where to go from here, basically. First off, I want to, give my du'as and pray for Muslims in London and, all around the world who, are afraid to go out now. When you don't interact as much with the greater, London community, or even if you do, that's going to be very difficult. Like, I can't even imagine being a visible Muslim and, when you don't interact with a lot of these people on a constant basis, it could happen at any time. So definitely, my heart goes out to those Muslims who are, have fear and reluctance, to step outside. I converted to Islam in 2003. I've been Muslim for 18 years, and I think for Western converts, especially European descendant converts, we have this special obligation to be representatives of Islam to our family, our friends, and our greater community, because we have an in with these people. And, I'd known people within my own community that had no problem with my conversion, who, see the positives of the Muslim community. They know Muslims, they worked with them, they appreciate their honesty, their hard work. And, the work that Muslims do, every day, working in the pizza shops, working at the mechanic, as mechanics, nurses, doctors, sometimes they don't see firsthand exactly how much of a positive impact, their work has, but it does. I know people who used to hate Islam, but after interacting with Muslims, either at work or doing business with them, they changed their opinion on it. Even, the most staunchest of conservatives, because they see that, Islam has many benefits to offer, society. The strong emphasis on family values, the strengthening of family and community ties, dedication to one's faith, offering an alternative to, this kind of hyper liberalized society that we live in, and they see a lot of positives in that. And I think our alternative model of allowing converts from any non-Muslim society to collectivize into a sub-community, just like, every Muslim community has done in the West. Even when you look at London, you have the Pakistani Muslim community, the Lebanese Muslim community, and you all belong to the greater Muslim community. But it's also important for converts to do the same thing as well. And since we never did this, we really did a great disservice, to the greater Muslim community, because, as a single person being a convert, when your whole family and community and your friends are not Muslim, that is a very difficult thing to deal with, and you need other people on your side who have been through the same experiences. Not just for, your friends and family, but also for yourself as well. So we can, have a more sustainable model, because, a lot of people who convert to Islam, let's be honest, they burn out after a couple of weeks, and some are able to assimilate into, the greater Muslim community. And, that's wonderful. But for a lot of people who are interested in Islam and they want to, be a part of it, it's a huge jump for them, because, they're going to get ostracized from their family. They might have work problems and things like that. So it's just a totally different dynamic to have to deal with, as opposed to, coming from a born Muslim family. It's not to say that one struggle is worse or better. It's just different, and different problems require different solutions, right? So that's one thing, because I know they're having a summit on Islamophobia coming up because of this attack. So I think we need to offer our advice on what we should be able to offer, and knowing this community very well, having been born and raised in it, you can see how certain policies that they're trying to push within the government might have an opposite effect of what they intend. For example, laws against Islamophobia on social, for example, on social media, people have a lot of tough questions they want to ask about Islam. And the anti-Islam right, who has a very powerful lobby, they are coming up with all of these half-truths and even things about Islam that may be historically true, but not actually condoned in our faith, that they keep bringing up. And they bring forth all of these, very structured arguments. There are Muslims who are trying to deconstruct those arguments and offer rebuttals to that. But when you cut off those channels, what it does is, the people who are on the fence about Islam, who are neutral about it, they see that when we're not offering responses to that, they start to think, okay, well, the anti-Islam right comes up with all these things about Islam and Muslims that maybe may or not be true, but if they're just going to shut us out about it, it must mean that they're lying, which isn't true. I mean, we know how we can present, hot topics about Islam, to the greater public. It's just getting that message out. And, we need more of a voice in order to clear up those misconceptions about, war in the Quran, the verses about war, verses about hijab, things that go on in Muslim societies that aren't condoned by Islam at all, like honor killings and, shaming women who get divorced and things like that. These are all, they do happen in Muslim societies, not to the extent that the media makes it seem, but just for ourselves, just for the Muslim community at large, we want the answers as to, how to best respond to these attacks, these verbal attacks on Islam, because the Muslim youth, they're listening in on this. They're very keen on, social media and, what people say about Islam. And, if they don't have the educational tools to deconstruct these arguments, it's really going to shake their faith, and we don't want to see that happen. So even just for ourselves, we need to know the answers to these hot button topics, right? So that's another thing. I'll give you an example. Islam and slavery. There's a lot of anti-Islam voices, that are talking about slavery in Islam and why is slavery still in Muslim countries. And if you read Dr. Jonathan Brown's recent book, Slavery in Islam, it goes into detail about how, Islam as a doctrine, the Quran, stresses freeing slaves and the emancipation of slaves should be, the most important thing. And this was at a time when slavery was just completely, totally commonplace, among the entire world, right? It set down rights for slaves living at that time, and for slaves who wanted their freedom, you could write down a contract, and the slave could work towards their own emancipation. So, and then eventually, as time progressed and the West, wanted to get rid of slavery, the Muslim world followed suit, because the scholars, they decided upon, okay, Islam should always be towards emancipation, right? So topics like that, and there's many other topics like this as well. The more well-versed we can be about these attacks on Islam, the better off we'll be, not only in, getting people to change their opinion, but also the Muslim youth as well. I'm going to continue to part 2, inshallah.